Of course, one kind of learning is where we learn for fun. We read novels, scientific stories, or anything else we read. We watch movies. That's also a sort of learning. That's for entertainment. We want to know things more. That's more of education. That's not learning. But learning content or learning information is not learning. Learning is basically when you use your multidimensional personality, when you use all senses of your body to absorb information, observation, wisdom, skills. Also, when you do certain thing with the hand, it may not be actually absorbing information. It's basically training your body to be able to perform a task that's beyond content or information. It's more building the habit, building that kind of routine so that you can perform it. So from that angle, learning is not about content learning or information. That's what's happening in the school. The school learning or academic learning versus the professional learning, these are two different things. The emphasis in the way we have learned in the school is mostly on content, information, gathering knowledge, and be able to use knowledge. The professional learning, the whole objective is you are being paid for something. You're going to need to produce something. So can you produce that one effectively with good quality and maybe in a shorter time? So the perspective is different. So my concept of learning is that we shouldn't spend too much time on learning. There are ways where you can learn a large amount in a shorter time, but at the first place, you don't actually need to learn large amount to master something. I worked with one corporation. They had financial analysts. The financial analyst's job is typically to look at financial trends, expenses, and be able to make sense out of that one. These guys were put into 5 days training course in front of the computer screen. This training course was designed by some computer geeks who are pretty good with Excel and cloud software to do all the computations. It taught them everything. How do you do the pivoting in Excel? How do you do the dashboard? How do you do the chart? Every single thing. 5 days is a lot of time to train people on that one. These guys passed that course with flying color. Now, when they go into the job, their job is to present those dashboards to executives and CEOs. That's the skill. You're going to need to perform under pressure. You need to be able to make sense of the dashboard and able to advise your executive that this is how the trends are going and we're going to need to do this. Now, if you see, they absorbed a lot of content in terms of Excel sheet, pivots, and all the formulas. But the reality job required them to be able to present those data, create the wisdom out of their data, and able to advise the topmost executives in the company. Now, the later one is professional learning. They missed that part. The earlier one was the content learning, which they mastered it. But the mastering content does not make you a star player in the job. Because in the job, the work comes with some fear. It comes with emotional loading. It comes with pressure. It comes with lots of other things. And those things are typically not taught when we are given content to master this. For example, a salesperson. A salesperson's job is to sell something. Okay, that's the outcome. Now, in typical training or typical learning, we have subject salespeople to tons of things. We send them for presentation coaching. We send them for negotiation training. We send them for emotional coaching. I would send them for so many different training. And then on top of that one, they need to master the product features. Some salespeople have to memorize every single bit of that one. Now, you see, you're exposing them to this much. But let's say that I'm going to sell something to you. I'm just from my own experience or my upbringing or maybe my way of thinking, I'm going to say, I understand your problem. Tell me about your problem. And there is good possibility we may be able to strike some kind of link. Perhaps I can connect with you emotionally. And there is good possibility I can make a sale. I don't have to use whole lot of 90% of those skills like presentation, negotiation. You see, to make a sale, I didn't have to master all those 90% of the skills. I only needed to produce the outcome using whatever I know. So the point is you are able to perform faster by learning little, but in a way that it actually leads to that particular performance. Let's say that we're talking about the cat care. What's the outcome? What exactly are you going to perform? How do you see yourself doing it? What is the day-to-day thing you're going to do? Your answer probably is going to be, I should be able to take care of the cat. But that's very subjective or quantitative way of saying. And let's quantify. what care involves. Does it mean feeding the cat all the time? Or does it mean that taking care of when the cat got certain cycles or something? Or what else is involved? So once you specifically define what exactly care means, now you got 3 or 4 things that you must perform. And somebody like me, people say, this lady can take care of cat very well because I'm going to be observing something. I'm going to be evaluating based on certain physical parameters. So now what happens is once we start with outcome, then we say, if feeding the cat is part of the care, what do you need to know? You need to know what kind of food cat should be given. And secondly, what should be the ideal schedule? Now, ideal schedule, you don't need to remember. All you're going to need is a printed table. Just paste it on your refrigerator. What kind of food? You're going to need a list, which you can keep it somewhere on the table. You don't need to memorize these 2 things. So now, the moment I say your goal is to be able to follow these schedule, follow these lists, and don't go beyond that, the memorization part is taken care of because I give you a job aid to perform it. So you see, in the whole process, we didn't even start with the content. We didn't ask you to memorize anything. If I start you with this one, you're going to start first, how many types of cats are there, what their habits are, what kind of foods are there, what kind of schedule. So you see, we start from here to here. You're going to need to learn this much. But when we start with the actual definition of what the care is, when you go backward, you only need to do 2 things.